Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we're going to be starting the halaqah right now. So, can you please have the attention to Sheikh Walid and anyone who's sitting on the sides, if you could give the speaker respect and please at least face him. Jazakumullah khair.
الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على رب العالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه ومن تبع واستنى بسنته الى يوم الدين وبعد. So how many of you were here last time we spoke? How many of you remember what we spoke about last time? Who can tell me what we spoke about last time? Yet, what did we talk about last time?
We talked about the surah.
The what?
We talked about Khadija, the Rasul's wife.
We did?
Yeah.
No, that was the other episode, not my episode. Different episode in the series. You had some good answers, you don't remember? Remember when we talked about Tawbah?
Oh yeah, now I remember.
What did we say about Tawbah when I asked you about something? Do you remember?
It was like about a man thinks that he doesn't need Toba, like he needs Toba.
Uh-huh.
Or thinking that he doesn't need Toba.
Right. And I said I was going to give you a prize, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So we have prizes to give out. But you have to participate and you have to have the right answer. And for parents, I got something nut free, no peanuts, no almonds, no walnuts. So anyone who has a nut allergy, I got something with no nuts in it, just in case. So last time we spoke about Tawbah, and we talked a little bit about what that means, right? And how everybody has to do it. And it doesn't matter how good you think you are, how many good things you've done, but Tawbah means just how we deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not only when you think you made a mistake, you probably need it more, as Ziyad said, when you think you don't make mistakes. So you need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some ways more when you think you're making no mistakes than when you recognize your mistake. Does that make sense? So what do we do after Tawbah? We recognize our mistake and we fixed it. Now what? Do we keep making the same mistake?
No.
What do we do? What do you think we should do? Let's say I know how I make my mistake and I want to avoid it. What do we call that when we avoid mistakes? There's a word that we use. Who knows that word? This is a big prize. You might get 2 lollipops out of this one. Hamza?
Don't do the mistake.
Huh?
You don't do it.
I know, what's the word for that? When you avoid mistakes. There you go. Yassine, it has the same first letter as Tawbah. Ta, T, Qaf. I gave it away now. Aywa.
I get one, you get one.
No, I don't think so. It won't like that. I gave you the answer. So taqwa, right? Taqwa means avoiding the mistake. And there's a lot of what they say fawaid, benefits to taqwa. What does the Quran say about people of taqwa? Number one, Allah loves them. Inna Allah yuhibbul muttaqin, right? Inna Allah ma'al muhsinin. What else does he say about taqwa? وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ, what's the next word? مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. What does that mean? Whoever has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does Allah do for him? يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. What's a makhraj? Makhraj min ad-diq, right? It's a way out from a place you don't want to be. You ever felt like that? You're in a place you don't want to be and you want to find a way out? So what is the key? The key to that is taqwa. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And he gives him rizq. What's rizq? Who knows what that is? No.
Money.
Not really.
Forgiveness?
Nope.
It's like the things that Allah give you, like
Say that again?
the things that Allah gives you.
That's a good answer. I think that deserves a prize. That deserves a prize. It's everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you. So, that's your rizq. This is your rizq. So your rizq, someone said money, someone said house you live in, something like that. That's your rizq. But also, your rizq is everything that you have. In other words, everything that you have, you think you have, where did it come from? Allah gave it to you. You didn't necessarily earn it because Allah gave it to you. How does He give it to you? Does He give it to you because you earn it? Or does He give it to you as a gift? Which one do you think? You earn it or it's a gift? Pure logo. Pure Chicago. What's your name? Qusay? MashaAllah. Qurash. Qusay.
Earn it.
Okay. Anyone agree or disagree with that? Why do you disagree? You just like to disagree? No reason?
I disagree.
Why?
When God gives you something, like from Him to you, that means it's God's blessing.
Oh, very good. So it's a gift. Right? Because do bad people get those things too? You sure?
Yes, it does.
Sometimes they do, right? So everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you is a gift. Then what should we do when we get gifts?
We know what they are.
What do we do when we get a gift?
Sell it.
Huh?
Flip it.
Do they?
Store them. He wants to store them.
Okay. What else do we do?
Sell it. Keep them.
What do you do when you get a gift?
Accept it.
You think that.
You thank them. Right? Someone gives you a gift, you should say,
Alhamdulillah.
thank you. What if it's Allah giving you those gifts? How do we say thank you?
Pray.
Slow down. Give me a chance. I have to speak to, believe it or not. What do we say, or how do we say thank you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not using our tongue? Now put your hands down. Not using our tongue. How do we say thank you? Ziyad?
Do like things a Muslim would do, like donate, pray.
Okay. I want something more specific. Something that has to do with the gift itself. How?
You show it through your action.
How?
Like you use it. What you do with it. Like you use
Getting warm, getting close. Let's say one of the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is my eyes. I can see. It's a gift, right? Because there's some people who are born who can't see, or they lose their eyesight. So we know it's a gift. So then, how do I say thank you for that gift? Gift of eyesight. How do I say thank you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Use it to avoid the bad.
Aywa. I should use it in the way that what? Does Allah give us rules and ways to use our eyes, or we just do whatever we want?
To avoid the bad stuff that you can do with problems.
There's ways. There's things you should be doing with it, and things you're not supposed to do with it, right? So what type of thank you is it if Allah gives me a gift, and then I don't say thank you because I don't use my eyes in the right way? I don't use my tongue in the right way. I don't use my ears, what I listen to, in the right way. I don't use my hands in the right way. I don't use my feet in the right way. I walk to places or go places I'm not supposed to go. All of those things are like saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're not thanking you for it. We're taking it for granted. Now one of the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about gifts is that if you thank Him for it, not only will you keep the gift, but what else is going to happen? You're going to get more. Who knows the verse in the Quran that says that? There's a prize for that one. That's a tough one. Hadim al-Quwa.
What's the first two words?
What?
First two words.
أيوة إن شكرتم لأزيدنكم. Oh, we're not going to So very good. وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. And if you show thanks, what's the rest of it?
وإن كفرتم إن عذابي لشديد.
Oh.
Right here. Once you're gonna begin, you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
You got the full prize, times 2.
Please.
وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are thankful, I will give you more. If you are thankful, I will give you more. That's why they say الشكر قيد النعمة. الشكر قيد النعمة. So giving thanks keeps the things that I like, keeps the blessing. That's the qayd, right? It ties it down, make sure it doesn't go away. So who can think about all the things that we like? What are some of the things that we like? We want to keep them. Huh? You want to say something? Adidas Ocean.
Ooh, okay, let's see.
You got something to say?
I was going to say my friends.
You what?
My friend.
Your friends?
Yeah, my friend.
Friend. Singular.
Friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Good answer. Ziad.
That I'm a Muslim?
Uh-huh. Very good. وَكَفَى بِهَا نعم. Right? It's enough that you have Islam. Because is Islam a gift or did you earn it?
Yeah.
It's a gift. So if Allah gives you Islam and you want to show proper thanks for that gift, what do you need to do?
Use it right.
You need to be a proper Muslim. Right? How do you be a proper Muslim? What would be the two things we just talked about? First thing is
Taqwa.
before that,
Tawbah.
Tawbah, and then Taqwa. Okay. Now let's go into Taqwa. What does that mean exactly? Taqwa means, that's what we call a rhetorical question. Okay? Taqwa means that you avoid the things Allah asks you to avoid, and do the things Allah asks you to do. Why are there things that we should avoid, and why are there things that we should be doing? Why can't I just do whatever I want? What's the harm in that? What's the problem?
I got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your name again? Sorry.
Sam.
What's that?
So you have to avoid doing whatever you
Why?
want.
Because your mom and dad told you to?
No.
That's not the reason. It's a good reason in the beginning, but at the end, that's not the reason.
It's the same you used the last time you were here.
So we go to Hajj?
Ziad,
So we go together?
that's a reason, but that's not the reason either. That's a good reason, but why did he tell us avoid this and do this?
Because he cares for us.
It's the good things. Like drugs are bad.
Okay.
Like they're bad.
Right. So good things that we're supposed to do are never going to be bad for you. They're never going to be harmful. They're always going to be good. And the things we stay away from, they're always going to be harmful for you. So we stay away from it. That's why Allah. So that means Allah is actually giving us another gift on top of all the other gifts.
Not get harmed.
He doesn't want us to get harmed. He doesn't want bad things to happen to us. He doesn't want us to be affected in a bad way by things that we might do. So that's why he says, have this taqwa. Taqwa zahir al-ithmi wa batina. Right? Have taqwa of zahir al-ith, the outward sins, right? The things that you actually do and say, and the inward sins. Who was here during Jum'ah this afternoon? You guys remember what I talked about?
Yeah, I think.
What was the main subject?
Yes. Oh.
Were you here? What did I talk
Not
about?
mess with people's heart, like, because you don't know what they're trying to do.
Yeah, you're close about that point. What was the main point? That we avoid thinking things that are not true about people, that we can't verify, that we can't prove, because then it would lead us to have bad things in our heart. And when the bad things start to begin in the heart inside, inevitably, or most of the time, they come to the outside. That's how it works. That's how we are. So we stop it right here. So the moment I have a bad thought about something, what do I try to do? Remove it. Ignore it. Think about something else. Think about the positive. Right? You got second place in the foot race, in the track at school. That's kind of negative. But look on the positive side. You beat 5 other people. And there's one who's better than you. So there's always something that's going to be positive about it. It could have always been worse. But we as human beings, we tend to look and see the situation that we're in, and we think this is the worst it can be. So if you can say, Alhamdulillah, and mean it in a situation that's not so great, that's also another type of gift. Right? It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I can be in a situation that's not so great, and I say, Allah, alhamdulillah, could have been worse. That car accident, or this sickness, or this thing that happened, it could have been much, much worse. And perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes He sends our way little things, right, that could have been much worse to remind us that you could have always fallen into the big thing. But He didn't give you the big thing. He gave you the little thing because He just wants to keep you thinking. And He wants to keep you grateful. Sometimes you need to be reminded to be grateful. Right? Because what happens when we have a lot of gifts? A little kid who has all of the toys that he wants, anytime that he wants them, what do we call that type of? Spoiled, right? So sometimes we can get spoiled. Sometimes we get spoiled. Sometimes, and this is not just you guys, but adults too. They get spoiled. They get used to having very nice things all the time. And they don't even know how nice they are until they start to lose them. Right? The ability to walk, we take it for granted. We think that every step that we take is effortless, and we don't think about it. But there are people who it's a struggle just to take one step. They struggle to do it. Then you realize, subhanAllah, it's not as easy as I thought it was. It's actually something that's quite brilliant and even magical and beautiful, that you can walk, that you can see, that you can hear. That when we leave here tonight and you get into your parents' cars and they take you home, you don't have to worry about where breakfast is gonna come from. You know you're gonna eat breakfast tomorrow. You're not worried that it may come or may not come. You're not worried that someone's gonna come into your house and harm you. You're safe in your house. You're not worried about where your food is going to come from. And the Prophet ﷺ said about such a people, right? Someone who sleeps at night and they have qut al-yawm, they have food for the next day, and they're safe in their place, and they have health and all these things. It's like they have all of the dunya and everything in it. All of the dunya, all of the dunya and everything in it. Just those little things that we think, well, everybody has that. Not everybody has that. Many, many, many people, even your age, they don't have that. So it's a great, great gift. So if we have all of these gifts, then what should we be doing? I'm not going to say with all of your free time, some of your free time. So when you're not watching Netflix, and when you're not playing Fortnite, or FIFA 2019, or did I miss something? Is there other things you guys do?
Sure.
Huh? Black Ops, fine. Grand Street Auto, whatever it's called, Grand Theft Auto. Huh? If I'm not doing any of those things, I need to be doing something positive. So this class has homework. Gotta give you homework. So part of the homework is, next time we meet, I want you to think about something positive you're going to do for yourself, to improve yourself and for someone else. Not someone else, could be your brother, could be your sister, could be your father, could be your mother, could be your friend, any of those things. Think about something where your action, you do something and you're going to bring something nice to them. You're going to do something positive for them. One of the most positive things you can do for somebody else is to relieve them of a burden. And تنفس عن أخيك. تكون في عون أخيك. So many hadith about it. Allah is helping you as long as you're helping other people. So think about a burden upon somebody. And I'll give you a little hint. For most of you guys, you should start with your parents first. Think about some burden your parents are doing that maybe you can relieve them of that burden. I can think of one right off the bat. Maybe like cleaning your room, right? Maybe like taking care of your own laundry. Maybe like not whining all the time and going to your parents and saying, I'm bored, what do I do now? Those are all things that are going to relieve your parents of a burden. So I want you to come up with something, and I'm going to ask every single one of you next time I see you. You got to give me an answer. And I want you to think of something for yourself. Now this thing for yourself, I want you to do it every day. Every day. It could even take 1 minute, 30 seconds, I don't care. Every day though. If you say, okay, I'm just going to say La ilaha illallah 3 times in a row. Every day. Wonderful. But you do it every day. That's it. It's nothing too small.
It's like keeping a promise.
It's keeping a promise, and it's doing it every day. You want to be consistent. You want to change your life? It's not about doing a whole lot at once. It's about being consistent in doing something every day. We live in a society and culture that doesn't really celebrate that. Doesn't give much value to be able to do something consistently and every day. It gives value to doing something, wow, spectacular. You know, and I'll give you an example. The people, the teams who win the championships, whether it's football or basketball or tennis or soccer, the World Cup soccer teams, and the team that wins and beats everybody else, you just see the end product. You just see what happened on the day they won the World Cup. But what were they doing every day before that? Not for weeks, not for months, years. Years. What were they doing every day? Practicing. Every day. How many hours do you think they practice?
Hours and hours.
Hours. In fact, most of their day is like that. So all you're seeing at the end is them holding the trophy and they look so happy and they throw the ticker tape parade for them in New York City and wow, that's amazing. But what do they have to do to get to that? Every day. Every day.
Work hard.
Every day. So you have to do it every day. Why do we pray every day? Why can't we just pray once a week?
To be closer to God.
That's the reason, but why every day?
To be closer to God.
Why every day? I'm going to ask you a question. How many times do you have to make Hajj in your life?
What? Once.
How many times? Does anyone know the answer? Once. How many times do you have to pray?
5 every day.
Every day. Why do you think that is?
I
Why do you think Hajj is only once, but praying every day for your whole life?
Because God said that.
We want to go beyond that. Think about why did he tell you that? What's the reason? What benefit do you get? Or what harm is avoided? Why every day? What's the purpose of ibadah aslan? Why do we worship in the way that we do? What do we get out of that?
Praying is something you can do every day. Hajj is not something you can do every day.
That's true. That's an answer. That's a very faqih answer, very fiqhi answer. That's a good answer. Anyway,
You're practicing every day for the day you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sah. Tamam. Good answer. Let's think about it from another direction. When I pay zakat, for example, I pay on what percentage or what a part of what I have, right? Something that I have. So I pay some portion of that. What's the reason behind it? To purify what?
Your money.
Your money, purify your wealth, right? Because maybe somewhere along the line, some of that income you didn't get it. Guys, you don't respect me when you talk when I'm talking. There's like a social contract here, as Khan said. Like, I talk, you don't talk. You talk, I stop talking. That make sense? Come on. So, zakat, we pay to purify money. So there's this idea of purifying something. So salah is done every day and is done at certain times during the day. Can I just pray all 5 at the end of the day when I feel like it, or in the middle of the day? No. It has to be throughout the day. So what do you think it's trying to purify?
Your heart.
Something besides that. This is a
Your relation to Allah.
soul.
nope. This is a lollipop answer.
You're purifying your soul.
Huh?
Soul.
Your time.
Who said that?
Me.
What's your name?
Mustafa.
Slava.
Another one.
Your time is purifying your time. The one who said soul is not wrong either. Do you know why?
Yeah, no.
What is your soul? Who are you? What are you? What are you in terms of this life?
A slave to God. A worshiper. God's worshiper.
You are a set of years, months, days, hours, and seconds.
Minutes.
Right? Because you're going to what? You're going to expire. You're not going to live forever. Not in this life. So that means every day that goes by, you get one day closer to what? Death. It's true. We don't like to talk about it, but that's the reality. Every day we live, we get one day closer to not living. Every day we live, we get one day closer to not living. Think about that. Every day you live, you get one day closer to not living anymore. إِنَّكَ مَيِّتٌ وَإِنَّهُمْ مَيِّتٌ. Mayyit, you're dying. In other words, you're getting closer to not living. So that means, how do we know we're getting closer to not living? Because the day has passed. And I'm only going to have so many days. So once all my days are finished, then who's finished too? You are. So don't you think it's important, or the most important thing that we have is our time. Our time. That's what Tawbah is about. That's what Taqwa is about. That's what the Salawat is about. Praying during these times. So you want to get the most out of your time. How do you get the most out of your time? By starting off the time right. So pray at the beginning of the time if you can. Do things that will positively influence your time. Don't do things that are going to waste your time. Right? Or some people say, we got some time to kill. Yeah, I need time to kill. That means like you're killing yourself. Because those 10 seconds, those 2 days, whatever you thought, or that 1 hour that you wanted to kill, you will never, ever get it back.
So it's like if you do one wrong thing, you can't do it, and you can't change it.
You can't change
You
it,
can't change
but
it.
you can change what comes next. You can change what comes next. and you can actually change what came in the past not to affect you in the future. So the nice thing about that is whatever you did before this present moment right now, all of the bad things or the things you'd like to do before all of that, there is a way to fix all of that. And we talked about that. We called it Tawbah. So there's a way to fix the last 2 days I didn't do so well. Tawbah. There's a way to approach the next 2 days that I want to do better. We call that Taqwa. This is what I want you to get out of today. Fix the past, fix mistakes, change back to Allah, we call that Tawbah. Look to the future, fix what you're in right now, and going forward, we call that Taqwa. Does anyone have a question about that? How much longer should we go? How much longer should we go? It's like 9:15, 9:10. Good. I don't want to. We didn't hear from our sisters in the back. Does anyone have any questions or comments or criticisms? Abadan? Okay. They're much more forgiving than you guys. Anyone have any bad coffee stuff? Any Dunkin' Donuts coffee in the room? Inside joke. So I'm going to stop here because it's good to take things in certain amounts. And once people start losing attention, then there's no point in going after that. So I'm going to be a nice guy, and everyone will get a lollipop for participation.
Throw it out.
Yeah, so we're going to do the participatory lollipop. And you guys can distribute them amongst one each. One each.
What are you doing? Just throw it I'm not happy.
I need you guys all to sit down, please. Sit down. Everybody, please sit down.
Exactly. I thought you would give me another one.
Please sit down. Hurry up. Move over a little. So if I could just have your attention for 2 more minutes, please. Okay. So today is part 2 of a 3-part series, and I really like Sheikh Walid's format because self-improvement is going, or self-development as we're calling this series, is going to be very important. How you use your time is who you are and who you become. Okay? So it's going to be very important for you to decide how you're going to use your day, how you're going to use your time, because your time is your life. Okay? And that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's biggest gift to us, is time on this earth, or our life. So how do we best use that time? Okay? So part 3 is going to be on August 2nd, so that's 2 weeks from tonight, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Walid, for coming last week and this week. We also, again, we'll have that part 3 on August 2nd, so please make sure you tell your parents, your friends, and I want to see more and more people benefiting from Sheikh Walid, as he's a product of our community, and we really appreciate him coming and spending time with us on these 3 weekends, inshallah. In terms of other announcements, announcement number 2 is we're planning to go paintballing on Sunday, inshallah. That was put in today's email. So if you are interested in coming to paintballing, there was a number for Brother Omar Saleh is essentially spearheading that for us. So if you are interested in that, please text Brother Omar ASAP, because we're planning to go just this Sunday, so the day after tomorrow, inshallah. Yes,
What time?
11 to 3.
11 to 3. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
The other thing I want to say is that we're also planning a whitewater. We're also planning a whitewater rafting trip, August 18th, inshallah, and that's in nearby Pennsylvania. So the cost for that is going to be $80. So please, that's going to include it's the whitewater rafting, but also zip lining. So again, please let us know in advance so that we can reserve our spots and take our group as carpooling. We have to make all these arrangements. So please let us know as soon as you can, inshallah. And lastly, I just want to have one more announcement on our Wednesday Sira class. It's really becoming a great, I really had high hopes for this class, and it's really filling those hopes, alhamdulillah, or fulfilling those hopes. So every class we're learning something new, we're learning something and getting to know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that much more. Okay? And to know him is to love him. So if we are not teaching our children, if we're not teaching ourselves the Prophet's life sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we're doing ourselves and our children a big disservice, inshallah. So please, every Wednesday from 7 to 8:30, we're bringing in Brother Kareem Aizdat from Qalam Institute. 2 weeks ago, he reviewed the story of Salman al-Farsi. Amazing story. You know, when you're searching for the truth, and it doesn't matter what obstacles are in your way until you get to that truth, alhamdulillah. So, amazing stories each and every time.
Sorry, I want to add on to the whitewater rafting, inshallah. There's going to be lunch and dinner provided, food, and in addition, it's going to be like 85.
Okay. So I said $80. Lunch and dinner is going to be $85. Sorry. $5 extra.
Wow.
Okay. So, thank you, Rome. So.
Why is that?
Okay. Again, the Sira class, very important. Even last week, we learned about Sayyidina Ibrahim and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him for the call, and he was in the middle of the desert. Why is he being told to give the call to prayer, right? So all these things we're learning from week to week, and we really are benefiting, alhamdulillah. Last week we had a lot of people, alhamdulillah, and we hope to get that. We hope to get even more, inshallah. So that Sira class is going to be a journey that we're taking with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam all throughout the summer. So it's going to be throughout September, inshallah. And then we're talking with Brother Ibrahim about taking it from that, going into more detail from September throughout the school year, inshallah. So again, I want you to take note of these outings. We're taking these classes, etc., and inshallah benefiting from them, spreading the word, and taking part with our whole community, inshallah, throughout the summer, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. سبحان الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم. Samai, all this running, okay, just tone it down. We can have fun, we don't have to run and hurt somebody or get injured, nothing like that. Thank you.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. Use it on real quick.
It's like street fight time.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Okay, okay. No more running, I said. Assalamu alaikum. Can I have you all come down? Come closer, please. Have a seat. You see? That includes you. Hamad, Malik. Come here. Okay, so Sheikh Walid had ended a little earlier than we expected, so that's fine, alhamdulillah. But we're going to sort of continue until Salat Isha, inshallah, at 10 o'clock with another, or part two of tonight's talk with Ibrahim, inshallah. So he's going to take you through an important lesson, inshallah. So, Ibrahim, jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. Just so that nobody hates me, this was his idea, not mine. Guys, bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Mary, you can sit next to me. So, Sheikh Walid was speaking about something called tazkiyah, right? Tazkiyah is built on two things, as he was saying, which were what two things? Tawbah and taqwa. So, I don't know what he has planned for the part 3, but what I wanted to talk about a little bit on the side of Tawbah, and this actually goes to a conversation I was having with a few friends the other day. Raise your hand if you have non-Muslim friends. Right? Raise your hands if you just know non-Muslims. That should be everybody. Yeah, so, what's very interesting is that we can talk about Tawbah and we can have lots of classes about Tawbah and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. The greatest Tawbah in Islam is actually joining Islam itself. So, you all know that when somebody becomes a Muslim, it gets argued about. Sure. So, you know that when somebody joins Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a gift to them, He wipes away all their previous sins, no matter what they were. So somebody could have done the worst of actions and the things that we've been told were bad from the very beginning. They could have worshipped other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the moment they accept Islam, the ultimate tawbah is accepted and everything gets wiped away.
Even if they murdered someone?
Even if they murdered somebody.
What about a couple?
Huh?
What about more than one?
Multiple. Whatever it is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ. That what the meaning of this ayah is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive or does not accept the forgiveness of someone that does not worship Him or associates partners with Him, but forgives anything less than that. Of course. So, right. So anything that was done against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in terms of not praying, in terms of being a terrible person, in terms of not giving the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these things can be forgiven immediately. As Dr. Boker wanted to point out though, if somebody accepts Islam, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say I was a bank robber and I stole millions of dollars and then I became a Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive everything before that as long as I give the rights back. So I can't sit on that $1 million, I have to give it back. Because as a Muslim you can't sit with somebody else's rights. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can and will forgive anything less than shirk against Him. So any actions that you've done, and we have so many examples in the seerah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, very famous examples of people that did so many acts, and you would think that this person is the worst of the worst, and then suddenly, boom, becomes a Muslim and everything switches. Right? And suddenly they are from the worst of the worst, they suddenly become from the Sahaba, the best of the best, that they'll be spoken about in a high light for the rest of eternity. And they become our role models. So, what I want everyone to do right now is to first of all appreciate, if you know somebody that's a Muslim, that wasn't born a Muslim, I want you to appreciate the fact that first of all, a lot of us were born Muslims. And the only reason that we are Muslims is because we were raised by our mothers and our fathers, and we were brought to the Masjid from a very young age, and we were taught Islam, and it's one of the only things we knew. Maybe we didn't even know there are other religions out there until we got a little older. There are people out there that had to find Islam for themselves. So it makes sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has such a great reward for that, and He accepts their tawbah immediately. Right? I tell this story all the time. I have a couple of friends actually, and none of them were born Muslims. They were all born into different, some of them were Baptist, some of them were like Lutheran or Catholic, but none of them were born Muslims. And they're much older than me, but one day we were sitting, it was after Salat al-Fajr, and we were talking, and the subject of, Islam and people becoming Muslims came up. And one of them was telling me, he said, "Do you know how I became a Muslim?" And I said, "No." He said, I became a Muslim in jail. I said, what do you mean? He said, I used to be a mugger in New York City. I had a knife, and I would go to people. I'd see women walking down the street if they were alone. I'd come up to them with the knife and tell them to give me their purse. I said, man, get out of here. He said, no, I'm serious. This is what I used to do. I was a robber. I used to rob people of their money. And one day I got caught and they took me to jail. And in jail, I met other people that were Muslim, and I saw that they were trying to change their life, so I became a Muslim in jail. And when I got out of jail, I went to the first masjid I could find, and I wanted to learn more about Islam. And I was very shocked. I said, so, because if you meet him now, he's a very nice person, very welcoming. MashaAllah, assalamu alaikum, brother. Please do your wudu properly. And I'm trying to imagine him running around with a knife, stealing purses from ladies, and it doesn't work. But subhanAllah, that's the tazkiyah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the blessings He gives to somebody that is truly looking for the haqq and looking for the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can cleanse you of whatever ailments are going on in your heart, and He can change you to be a better person. And He can make you from the worst of the worst, He can make you from the best of the best. And after I had that conversation with him and a couple of other people, and they had very similar stories, it also dawned on me that the opposite is also true. If we take for granted the fact that we're born Muslim and we have this Islam, and we're not thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't give that right to Him, that we got our Islam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He can switch us around. I have seen many times, and I have some very personal friends, who when they were younger, everyone used to point at them and say, MashaAllah, look at him, you should be like him. Best Muslim, always in the masjid, memorizing Quran. And I've seen them flip their whole lives around. And actually, I have like one or two examples of them, they're not even Muslim anymore. They rejected all of Islam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give you Islam in a way that you can't imagine. You might see somebody on TV and you're like, this guy is a terrible person. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, He can guide that person to Islam, and He can erase all his previous sins and make him the best of the best. Likewise, you could see somebody, and you could be that person that maybe is going to the masjid all the time and reading Quran, and everyone says, mashallah, he's a great brother. But if you don't appreciate that Islam, and don't give it its right, and don't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, Allah can take it away from you just as easily. Right? And it's a well-known fact that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. More people accept Islam each year than any other religion. But also, a huge number, especially of young Muslims, in places like here or in Canada or in the United Kingdom, are rejecting Islam just as fast. So it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Sheikh Walid was saying, and somebody, he said, name some gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody said Islam, which is by far the greatest gift. But gifts, as the ayah said, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you're thankful for these gifts, Allah will increase it for you. وَلَئِن كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. But if you are not thankful for these gifts, Allah's punishment is very severe. One of the severe punishments of not being thankful for Islam is what? Jahannam. How do you get to Jahannam? The easiest way to get to Jahannam? Just believing. Rejecting Islam. So, for the most of us here who were born with Islam, who have it, I want you to sit and appreciate the fact that there are other brothers out there who had to work and find their way to where you're sitting today. And I think it's very, very interesting sometimes when I meet, and I have a lot of friends that accepted Islam. I knew one sister from college, for example. She became Muslim in 2017. Last time I was speaking to her in 2018, she was talking about a hadith, and she was bringing up some sahaba, and she was like saying some very knowledgeable things. And I said, subhanAllah, in 11 months, and she already knows all of this stuff. I know some people that have been Muslim for 20, 30 years, and they don't even know how to pray. And they couldn't care less to know how. I tell them, brother, put your hand like this. It's all the same thing. We need to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that gift. Can you guys think of ways, this is Sheikh Waleed's question again, but let's use it in the context of our Islam itself. What are some ways of being thankful to Islam without just saying, Ya Allah, thank you for Islam? Yeah.
Not doing bad things.
Okay.
Or alhamdulillah.
Learning more about it. I think that's one of the best ones. There's way too much knowledge out there. Nobody can know everything. What else? What can you give back to Islam?
Prayer.
Okay, that's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yeah. Teaching others. That's one of the best ways to, and actually one of the best ways to learn about Islam, as Ahmed said, is to talk to other people about Islam. Because sometimes you don't really think about it until somebody asks you about it. Right? I had a conversation once with a non-Muslim, and he was asking me like the very basic questions of Islam, and I felt very confident in answering and stuff. And then he asked me, I forgot what the question was, but he asked me a question. I was just like, I've never thought of that before. Yeah.
Is it different if like you not speak of your religion? My mom told me not to speak of your religion, but isn't it a good thing?
Well, you shouldn't speak of your religion if it's not the appropriate place to speak about your religion, or if you're speaking about your religion in a way that you don't know what you're saying. So, if somebody asks you a question about Islam and you don't know the answer, don't make things up. That'll probably do more harm than good. Just say, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody can know everything. And sometimes maybe it's not the appropriate place to talk about religion. Maybe if your teacher is talking about math, you should raise your hand and say, do you guys know what Islam is? Maybe it's not the best time to say that. Yeah.
I was doing like this social studies project, and then this kid just asked, "What's Islam?" And then he just popped up with a bunch of questions like, "What's Allah? What's Islam?" So like, if you're in that situation, what do you do?
Yeah, so this would be a great time, for example, that after class when you see him, you're like, by the way, I'm a Muslim, so if you want to know more about what being a Muslim is in Islam, I can talk to you about it, because I know what it is to be a Muslim. By the way, to your non-Muslim friends, guys, you guys are actual experts on Islam. Right? You might not feel like an expert when you come to the Masjid, but really, most people don't even know what Islam means. Like, is that a food? We had. Yeah, we get these questions. My brother, somebody asked him, he said he was looking at a meme or something like that, and it had some Arabic in it, and he said, "Yo, do you speak Islam?" They don't even know what it is. They think it's a language. So you guys, when you go out to your schools and stuff, you guys are really the experts in Islam.
I once talked about it in my class about history.
Very good. So, and like Ahmed said, the best way to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to make yourselves better Muslims, Ahmed, to make yourself a better Muslim, is to keep learning more. Always try to seek knowledge. We had the example of Salman al-Farsi radiallahu anhu, that he went across the whole world just to find his teacher. He went from Persia, then he went to Sham, and then he went back to, and then he became enslaved, and then he was in the middle of the desert, just so he could find his teacher. In the end, I guess you missed the story, but yeah, in the end, he found Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And all this traveling he did, and all of the struggles he went through, was also they could find the true meaning of Islam. And then you have people, and we say there's a halaqah going on.
Do you know?
Too far away.
Who knows the story of Salman al-Farsi? Because we just went over this the other day, right?
Raise your hands if you know the story, guys.
Can you walk us through some of his?
Sure. So, I'll go over the story very quickly, just so. Okay. So Salman al-Farisi, actually, he lived in the Persian Empire at the time of the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. A little something about the Persians were Zoroastrians, meaning what they used to do, they used to get closer to their gods by worshipping the fire that they had. So from a young age, Salman al-Farisi, he was kind of skeptical about why we should be worshipping fire, because he saw that it took the priests a long time to tend to the fire and put oil. Can you cut it out? Thanks. And put oil and to make sure that the fire was still ignited.
It always has to be running.
Right. So he started questioning what was going on, and he basically interacted with somebody who was a Christian. And he liked that idea of religion a little more. When his parents found out what he was doing, his dad basically imprisoned him in his house. He said, "You can't go anywhere, you can't leave this house." And he locked him up like with chains. Like it's the next level of grounded. No, it's not okay. But Salman al-Farisi was able to escape, and he ran away from his home, and he went to the land where there were Christians, which was in the Roman Empire. And he went there, and he found that the Christians in that time were not worshiping the same Christianity, were not following the same Christianity that he had interacted with, because at that time that Christianity he had seen was Islam, which was only worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he looked, and he found one of the priests in the Roman Empire that was still following true Islam. So he basically became his apprentice, and he started learning from him. And his priest basically told him, like, ignore the others because they're following a corrupted version of Islam. They're saying that Isa is the son of God, and or the Trinity, or whatever it is, until his teacher passed away. Before he passed away, he told him where he can find the next person that is still on true Islam. So Salman al-Farisi traveled and met the next person, and he started studying with him until that person also passed away. Before he passed away, he told him where he can find the next teacher, and he traveled again. He kept traveling from teacher to teacher until he got to the final teacher. When this teacher was going to die, he said, "Wallahi, I don't know a single person in the whole world that's still following true Islam. I'm the last person, it's just you and me now." So Salman al-Farisi, when he heard this, he got upset, like, that's it? Islam is over? But he told him, he said, here's where you should go next. There's a prophecy that the next prophet is going to come in the land of the Arabs. So go there and go find the place where they grow date palms, basically. He said, if you go there, you will find him, and when you find him, follow him. He's going to be the prophet, and he'll be your final teacher. And then he passed away. So Salman al-Farisi took whatever he had, radiallahu anhu, and he made his way to where? The Arab lands. He went towards Mecca. North of Mecca is a small city called Medina. While he was traveling there, he got jumped by a bunch of highway robbers. They took his stuff, and they made him a slave. They took him and they sold him to slavery to two Jewish people. And he became a slave. But he was happy because those Jewish people lived in a land where they had a lot of date palms. Why is he happy about that? Because the person told him that that's where you'll find the prophet. So he became a slave for these Jewish people, and they made him collect the dates from the trees. So he would have, I don't know if you guys ever see, he would have like a cloth wrapped around his waist and around the tree, and he'd use that to climb up the tree. Yeah.
Did someone tell him that he needs to ask questions to the prophet?
Yeah, he told him about 3 questions to ask when he sees how to find out who the true prophet is. But he had this cloth wrapped around him that he would use to climb the tree, and he was collecting dates. While he was doing this one day, he heard his 2 masters speaking. And they were talking about a man named Muhammad. And they said, what do you think about him? I don't know. Any person that says that he's a prophet from God, I think is crazy.
Immediately when he hears this, he gets excited. And he gets down, he said, what did you say? Like, who is this person? He says he's a prophet. And what do? They hit him. They said, what do you care? But now he knew that there was a person named Muhammad that was saying that he was a prophet. His teacher, as Mazin said, had given him 3 ways of telling whether he was a prophet or not, and not just some crazy person making things up. Right? Do you have time? So the 3 questions basically, or the 3 things that, correct me if I mix them up. The first one is that he does not accept charity, that he doesn't take any charity. If he has it, if somebody gives him charity, he gives it to people that need it. He himself doesn't take it. The second one is if he's given a gift, he accepts it and he shares it with the people around him. And the final one is the mark of the Prophet, the seal of the prophethood, which was a mark between the Rasul's shoulders. So each day, Salman al-Farisi would go to the Rasul. First day he gave him charity, the Rasul distributed it, he didn't take any of it. Second day he gave him a gift and he said, this is a gift to you. The Rasul accepts it and he shares it with the people around him. And then Salman is trying to figure out how can he see this mark behind him. He goes up and the Rasul sees him, smiles and he says, do you want to see this? And he shows him the mark. And immediately Salman al-Farisi knows that this is the true Prophet, Rasul. And this shows you that when you really look at his life, you know, he was in prison, then he traveled again, his teachers died, then he was enslaved, and then he had to do this. Later on, actually, he had to raise money to buy his freedom, just so he could actually become a Muslim. He had to buy his freedom from the Jewish people. But it shows that, and this goes back to what we were saying, that there are people who made a lot of effort to find Islam, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded them with that ultimate tawbah, that everything they did before was erased. Except their good deeds, actually, their good deeds stayed. So, for those of us that were born Muslim who still have our Islam, let's try to be as thankful for that as possible. Let's try to follow the example of Salman al-Farisi. We're always trying to pursue knowledge, always trying to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleased with us, and try to be grateful for the greatest gift that He gave us, which is our Islam. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always make you die as a Muslim. I'll conclude that one of my favorite ayahs in the Quran is the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. He makes a dua to Allah. He says, وَجْنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ. He says, oh Allah, protect me and my sons from ever worshipping the statues. It's really interesting when you hear this, that if there's anybody in the whole world that's not going to worship statues, it's the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. But he's so scared for himself, and he knows that Islam is only a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's still scared, and he's still asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make me a Muslim till the day I die. And that should be a dua that we should all do. أقول قولي هذا وجزاكم الله خير.
Okay, so we're going to be calling the adhan for Asha prayer, inshallah. Who's going to call the adhan, inshallah?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala al-falah. Hayya ala al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Toes to clean. Leave no gaps, take the foot shoulder to shoulder. Complete the first row before you move to the second row. And switch off your phones, please. Allahu Akbar. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا نشرك به شيئا ولا يتخذ بعضنا بعضا أربابا من دون الله فإن تولوا فقولوا اشهدوا بأننا مسلمون. يا أهل الكتاب لم تحاجون في إبراهيم وما أنزلت التوراة والإنجيل إلا من بعده أفلا تعقلون. ها أنتم هؤلاء حاججتم فيما لكم به علم فلم تحاجون فيما ليس لكم به علم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. ما كان إبراهيم يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. إن أولى الناس بإبراهيم للذين اتبعوه وهذا النبي والذين آمنوا والله ولي المؤمنين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Yeah, why did you go
I won't do this one. I won't do this one. Give it back. Where is it? Bring it like this, like this. I don't need anything. Hold on, no, you gotta do this. Stop doing it. Wendy's. No, I didn't go with you. Wendy's doesn't have a playground. Go. I went to the playground today. What's the point? If the same grass What is he doing? What are you doing at 4 on Sunday? What are you doing?
Guys, y'all let's just go.
يلا بينا يا شباب. Tennis player with the This is like third time. We never hang out the third time. We never hang out the week. That's so good. No, we got money too.
It wasn't my idea. That was me.
Because when you think about it, right? On the theoretical level, math is logic. Logic is the foundation of learning. So it's like, understand that you can almost derive right?
Take the L. I got something up my sleeve.
Guys, no running in the Masjid. Last time I'm going to say.
So is it what? I don't like this freshman result. I know this is kind of far, but like college.
No, but it's not every RIS. Every RIS, I want to go and book the right hotel.
Okay. Those are two. Like the cool thing about bioengineering, you can like when you get to college, you probably become a obviously it's like they're already like trying to come up. It's still in the infancy stages, but he's trying to come up.
They like from the
I think it's called neuro.
But you've never seen this many boxes.
أكتر من السينما help people learn quicker, help them develop faster from dementia stuff like that.
And they have like they give them
I feel like
similar
the
dress
future will
around.
see biomedical engineering and computer engineering directly converge.
I've never seen it like, and then how they organize the stage. When I come like fancy TV stuff like that, so it's just trying to do things excellent. That if you want to bring something like that, but it's great fun. Like buses is right here for Alan to stop. Hey, your program, yeah, like
I took this class last school year, and it was like
either from
Yeah.
I wanted to buy it before, so that is here. Yeah,
Okay.
really opened up math for me.
But I had that on
And I also
Colin.
learned how like build stuff, you know. He said I was gonna
عبد الله شو حبيبي كل شاطر وما شاء الله like
So when you say it opened up your mind, like, was it more practical instead of theoretical?
Well, and that's not.
I find that to be very beneficial,
Right? Yeah, Abdullah.
A lot of times college is very theoretical, right? It's like, ideally, this is what it's supposed to do. But when you say, oh, I can apply this law, and this is why that in the college. So I can apply this law, and this is why this happens. Right? That's what it's like. Oh wow, I want to go to class. I want to learn more physics. Like you figure out how circuits work, you figure out how, right? Like so it's like once these things become a little bit more detailed, more I say practical, realistic, they love it. You have like real life examples on how this being applied, then it's a lot easier to understand. I'll tell you this, I know it's kind of far away, but
a lot of that's the majority of it. 90% of it is they would
a lot
they have some, and he got them excited with the kid.
I think some of the smartest people,
if they would have just been quiet, they would have finished on top. Like
they ask a lot of very
but they would
good questions.
And he doesn't want to display anger.
They don't. A lot of people that have answers, right? Like, oh,
he's not going to tell you.
Yeah, it's good to have an answer.
That's why I apologize.
But asking a question.
That's why I apologize to him.
Kind of like a.
No, that's not because I don't know this because this is my brother. I know this fucking as a scholar. I know what they. Like as my brother learned, I don't follow this shit.
How can what is this knowledge leading you to, right? So I think that's pretty cool. Like you said, like
trying one of
the best professors or teachers will be able to help you with making these things
just
applicable and realistic. Like, how does this apply to me? How does it apply to
experience? Because I wanted to go and watch. They had
the way my teacher explained it's like they asked me like math questions and I answered them, like showing my work and everything. But he asked me like, why does this work? And like that's
I went to the anger one.
Maybe like open up and like actually look more into it. It's like, oh, this is why
he brought.
You see, that question why.
Yeah.
So what is it in a suite?
When you
so
ask
when
that
you say
question
the
why.
it's a three.
Oh, but here's the beautiful thing, right? And that's the
Stay there
beautiful thing
for
about
3 days, or
you stay there. There's like
ask
you can
why.
either go to a
There's
hotel.
2 ways to ask why. You could ask why arrogantly. You could ask why with humility. Right? So why could be condescending, right? Let's say you tell me something, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Very arrogant. It's like I already have a preconceived notion in my mind.
They'll tell you like what's
Me
provided.
asking why is this almost rhetorical, like I don't really care
I
what
think
you
breakfast
say, I'm
is
kind of
where you
shocked.
provide the last
Or there's the
probably
why
ends
where
with
it's like,
and then when you're
I may have to do a little work to get this answer, but I'll get the answer eventually, right? So I think that why question is just so important. And to be honest, the why question is what led me to
Oh,
study.
everything's in English, or if he says if he's reading from like if he's
Imagine somebody told you Jesus was the same,
what it means,
right?
and then
Just
dive
like,
into details.
oh, okay, cool.
If he's teaching,
Well then, you end up with knowledge that's not beneficial, right? It's like, why? How is that?
So thanks for that.
And the truth is, I asked that why.
I wanted to know, but then
I didn't find out the why for 15 plus years.
No, it's worth it.
Right?
It's
So
worth
it's
it.
like
People
the
fly
vibe.
from California to just see what.
There's a hadith that talks about the person that dies
Every
now.
retreat.
So how's his
Individual.
relationship with Sheikh Hamza now?
And it's applicable to
His relationship's always strong.
intellect and
That's
academics
gonna change it.
because Allah is basically saying,
When you
when you ask that
when you
why,
converted
genuinely and sincerely,
like,
and with humility,
you know, that's who he took his shahada.
you're going to get an answer.
Because then
Right?
Well, like Sheikh Hamza's
Right.
current
So,
political views, yeah.
It is
No,
beautiful.
So to me,
I realize
I always
Allah
thought
says
Sheikh
that
Hamza,
the Quran
I,
has
growing up,
every
he was
bit of
the
knowledge
best,
in it, you know?
he was the best.
It's not a statement that should be taken
Inspiration.
genuinely applicable to everything. Just for me,
Oh, people say
it's
stuff.
guiding me to the
Yeah.
deen, and I know you
Yeah,
do.
I ignore all that. I can't accept that.
So for me,
Because we don't know. Who else would you rather?
None of these people would be
I-
in existence.
They wouldn't be Muslims. The same Muslims that are today if it wasn't for Sheikh Hamza.
All these big time
intellect.
Yes,
It
yes.
wasn't the
They
Quran
own
first.
big
It
brains.
was asking that question one.
Exactly.
Sound like
Nobody knows the work he did with Imam Salah. They think he's not, he's anti-African.
So Allah bless
Why would he
me.
work with the Imam
Asked
Salah?
why. While I was in
Imam Salah
college.
used to clean up the streets. And he's, yeah, and he's, oh my god, he's
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Or
exactly
why is he
right.
work, like who else do you want to speak
We
to,
were looking at that. There's an equation that kind
any political
of links this
organization,
business
whether it's
with
from the
talks
UAE?
about the
Like who else do you want to
local
represent? We're lucky that he is willing to go
Right,
speak
so
to these people.
there's this
On our
notion
behalf.
of this
If there's a group of Jews sitting, who else would you want to go talk to them about Islam and defend Islam? Then who's better than Sheikh? That's my thing. Whenever anybody, that's what I say. Yeah. What do you, like, I don't care if you're a Islam or whatever you are, you're attacking him for. Why is this scholar getting a bubble call? I mean, like,
there's something
there's many examples of imams addressing advising politicians. The Ottoman
all
Empire
this knowledge
would not
is
have
worth
been as successful as it was for the span that it was if it wasn't for them allowing the scholars to speak to the sultans and the governors, and then taking their advice. If they did not take the scholars' advice, they would not have been around for that long. So to say that about Sheikh Hamza,
it's not that
known
anything
this
is mutually exclusive.
he knows his intentions. He has a strong relationship,
Mashallah.
I believe, with Allah.
No,
So
there's
things
one
wouldn't
person
arise.
who I know
Anything is
who's
worship. You
young.
could be a physics class, and that's worship.
Exactly.
You could be math class, that's worship.
A lot of Ikhwanis
all
do.
ties
Yeah, a lot
back
of
to
Like it did.
Allah being
It's
one,
more
not
knowledgeable.
necessarily
You're not, if you're at his level, maybe you can advise.
No, but like this guy
when you consider Allah, it's all connected.
But like, and he's like,
All to
he
say
writes
that
this
why
big diagram,
those
like,
humble questions and being patient is so important, especially when it's
again,
leaders.
back to from before, it's
I
like,
feel like
what
I know a lot of people who they if someone tells them something they say like agree with it. Like
and I
for
think,
math
I think the
example,
problem
like
is
if someone
that,
said like oh
I'm
5
over 40
like
now,
oh
so like,
that makes sense.
I know
They would never ask like why.
Yeah, we know Sheikh. The 18 our children,
The 27, the 28,
have no clue who Sheikh Hamza.
Keep that
They have no
line
clue.
here.
and they have no
With
attachment.
humility,
Yeah, they have no
don't know his
inshallah,
level,
humility and
They don't know the impact he had just speaking English, being able to speak English and Arabic in the way that he
Not
did,
everything's
and
gonna come right
and
away.
do the and
Right,
like
so
do
just
tafsir
being
of Quran,
patient
speak about the deen and the way he did.
It's like, okay, you know
That
what,
made us
you know,
exhibit love
that
for the deen and
it's
respect
like,
that
it
happened.
goes back to why
Our
Islam
kids
says
didn't see.
having
Didn't see
good
that time.
intentions is
So,
important, right? Like asking why
I think my kids,
is
like
having
I've shared
You've
talks
exposed.
about, so
If they're not exposed, they don't know.
my kids, they're like, oh man. There are things that he looks at it from a completely different perspective.
So when you sit in front of
man is lost and
if you close your eyes,
accept
you'll think you're hearing that.
come together in truth.
He's exactly as if
Those who
That's who you'll think you're hearing. I'm serious.
but even that is kind of describing.
We used to that you're a mini shahab. That's our bala.
And knowing that you will eventually get that answer. Alhamdulillah.
I'm not saying exactly. I'm not saying about that. I have no doubt about it. It's gonna touch your heart, and you're gonna
Whatever you do, on the day of judgment, you'll see a mountain of gold and has that. It's like,
He's done a great job.
who's that? You know, Allah may look at you with this smile. Hopefully that Allah looks at you and smiles with you, smiles at your actions, inshallah. Alright, Habibi? So, always nice seeing you, man. Always nice seeing you. Okay.
The week before, since I just so very good, yeah. So he's been amazing, man. So, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Always nice to see you.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Let me know. I might go with you.